Welcome back to Gaming on the Block, you guys. My name is Will. With me, as always, I've got my co-hosts with me, TSG and Annie. Episode 6. We were talking about, we're like, 6 already? We're 6 weeks into this thing. It's going better and better. We've got the clip channel up and running. You guys have been giving us feedback. I'm so happy to see that as well. So if you want to see just the best highlights from the episodes from the Gaming on the Block clips channel as well for that. But let's start off with this episode here. Annie, how are you doing?
Yeah, it's been a good week. Had some really good interviews and discussions with a number of founders from different projects. That's something that always gets me excited because really talking to them and hearing what are some of their challenges, what are they excited about building is super cool. And we're in that phase of the market where really the only people that are still here paying attention are those that are either building or just waiting on something to be launched. And the month of September, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the merge, everything's just coalescing around the ETH merge. There's so much stuff that's dropping this month. I've got probably half of the projects that I'm in. They're either minting some collection, they're dropping alpha or beta versions of gameplay. So I'm really excited. Just don't have enough hours in the day to track everything that I'd like to. So
what's the thing you're most excited? What's the thing you're most excited for that's dropping? That you're following
actually,
anyway.
So I can't actually say.
Okay.
There's a couple things that are that I'm sworn to secrecy on.
Okay.
But I would say for those that are interested, if you want to follow my channel, I've got a couple interviews, a couple of the folks that dropped some alpha, and some of those interviews coming up this week and next week. So that might give you some clues on it. But awesome. Let's just say there's a lot coming from a number of different projects.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah. How about you, PSG? It's been a busy week for you too.
Yo, it's been crazy busy. Like I legitimately have just been doing so much. Obviously, I'll say I got the role at Illuvium as the influencer manager, which I'm super grateful for. Both of you guys helped me out with that. With like just reviewing some of the stuff, the process to get me into that. So I thank both of you guys. But yeah, man, I got that. That was dead set. I'm not even gonna lie. It's awesome, but overwhelming. First couple of days was overwhelming. I kind of put my content on hold. So I felt like I've been slacking, which is crazy because I've been working harder than I normally have. But 2 days of no videos for me feels like slacking. So I'm kind of glad. Yesterday I got content out. Today I got content. A lot's happening, man, and I'm just excited to kind of see where this goes. And again, I've obviously been a fan of Illuvium, so to be given this opportunity and for the thing that I love the most, which is around content, influencers, marketing, it's just exciting time. So I'm excited to like provide as much value as I possibly can in the space. So get excited. Yeah, it's going to be a lot going on. Will, I know you had a pretty rough week, to be honest.
Yeah, you guys are talking about how like it's been so busy for you. Think like so much is happening in crypto right now. I'm like, because I've been sick all week. I've been down. I don't know if it was COVID or not. I tested, it was negative, but there's just so many COVIDs right now. Like it's it's nuts. So I've been down all week and I'm still kind of sick. But this is by far the highlight of my week, being able to go on and do this with you guys. So you guys have got to fill me in there. Like, what's been going on? What's been happening? Annie, do you want to start us off and get us going in the right direction?
Yeah, absolutely. So from the cryptoverse, let's say that the biggest news I think that came up this week was the launch of a new mobile project that's coming out. So Digidaigaku is the title for it, which is a bit of a mouthful. I'm going to be honest.
Love that pronunciation. You nailed it.
Yeah. I practiced a little bit in advance of this. So this is an interesting project to me for a few reasons. For those that haven't been following it, maybe we can pull up one of the articles, and we'll put some info in the description below where you can check it out. So essentially, the founder is the creator of God of War. So anyone that has followed gaming for the past couple decades certainly should be aware of that. And the big news is they had a $200 million raise, and Gabe and his team are now building a mobile waifu-based game called Digidaigaku. And so there's a couple interesting elements here. Because the project's so early, we still don't have the full structure in place. But the main point that I thought was interesting for us to talk about today is how they're branding it. So we've all heard, and even on our cast here, talked about play to earn, play and earn, play to own, play and own mechanics. And the way that Gabe and his team are branding this project is a free to own game. And so essentially the marketing concept is they're taking free to play, and it's that, but with NFTs on the back end. So I want to talk about, what does that actually mean? Is that going to be something that's sustainable for us as an industry? Because I think that there's some questions that I have, let's say, and looking forward to getting some of those answered in the coming weeks with some more AMAs from that project and others. So, TSG, what just initial thoughts from what you've seen from this project launching?
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie and pretend like I'm an expert on the project. Like, I honestly didn't know about it. But I'll speak on the whole concept of like the whole, you said free to own, right?
Free to own, yeah.
Yeah, so like, honestly, I think the concept is cool. But I see a major flaw, which is actually easily remedied. In my opinion, so free to own actually aligns with my thought process of new projects, new games following the free to play structure, just because I believe that that's the way to go, right? I think that's the way to onboard people, kind of make it as accessible to people as possible. That's how you're going to get people into a new IP. So I think the free to own is really, really smart. The problem is, how do they generate revenue then? The revenue then comes from secondary sales. Again, that's not a problem. That's completely fine. But then it becomes like, if everything is bought on the secondary, it stops being free to own, because you're actually just paying for it at that stage. And second, if they continue actually doing free to own, the way that I think they can make it sustainable is if they limit it and do what Illuvium is doing, where they create sets. So what I mean by that is, like, they have a set 1 that's free to own, and you can have it, like, for example, Illuvitas. I think that's a really, really good idea. So you have this unlimited Illuvitas for the first, or Digidaikus, unlimited Digidaikus for the first 3 months. And you can just keep minting as many of them as you want, and do whatever you have to do there. And then for the next 3 months, those original Digidaikus are no longer available. But you have a new set that's for the next 3 months. It doesn't have to be 3 months. That's just I'm pulling that number out of the air. It could be 6 months. It could be a year, whatever it is.
Right.
Essentially, but you still wouldn't want it a year. Maybe I think 6 months is all right, because it gives you enough time to kind of create a new set. And it kind of keeps it limited enough where if you have unlimited mints for a year, like, it's not going to be scarce at all unless you're waiting like 10 years down the road. But that's the only kind of way that I see it working out. If they create limited sets for 6 months and make it unlimited, where anyone can kind of just mint as many as they want. And then if the IP really blows up, but then that's really relying on the IP, right? If the IP goes to shit, it doesn't matter how scarce it is. It's a conversation I had with Santiago on our podcast, on the Ogma podcast. In crypto, we have this concept that scarcity means something. Like, scarcity without demand means fuck all. Like, I'm just gonna say it as it is. Like, it just means fuck all. Like without demand for something, it's like, oh man, I have a 1-of-1 piece of shit that's covered. Like, it just doesn't mean anything. So you kind of need to have something with demand. And for something like this, the demand is going to come from the demand of IP. So what they do with the IP is going to be very important. I think it's easy to fix, like I say, to remedy the scarcity and the sustainability issue. That's an easy remedy. But to remedy the demand issue, that's the thing where it's going to be interesting to see if it's doable or not, because it's so easy to make an IP and fail. Like we've mentioned it in this podcast, everyone's kind of said it. Most startups fail. So again, interesting idea. I think the concept is good. Like I've said before, to me already from what I've heard, is the proof of idea is interesting. The free to own. It's now kind of just seeing which project executes it properly. But I think that the idea is really, really good. And it's something that we can start and build around. Your thoughts on that, Will?
I want more explanation on the whole free to own and everything from Annie, the expert. But I'll say what I do think about the project so far, and what from just reading as well. I'm not an expert on the project and what he's doing, but I am excited to see Gabe from who's the brain behind Game of War and who's worked on that come on into the crypto space and into the mobile space as well, because I do believe if we want Web3 to grow as best way, Web3 gaming, then we need a lot of mobile games, because that's where like 90% of the revenue is. Not exact figure, but like a lot of the revenue is on mobile, and a lot of the gaming that is going on is on mobile as well. And I think UTSG has mentioned this in the past, like a lot of the female gamers are on mobile as well. They're not playing on console or PC, they're playing on their phone. And so I'm excited to see Gabe, who's an expert in like mobile gaming, come on and bring his expertise into the Web3 gaming space, and with the whole revenue structure as well, because they make so much money off of mobile games. See what that does with Web3 and how he brings that in with NFTs and everything. So Annie, why don't you talk a bit more about free to own and everything that means, because I know I would like to hear more about it.
I just want to ask Annie, because you're obviously the most clued up on the project compared to us. Do you know what type? So it is a mobile game. Do you know what type of game it's going to be? Because God of War is like a massive AAA title. And if it's like, because what I'm seeing with the waifus, it's like, how is that going to be translated in a AAA? Is it going to be a AAA project?
Well, so I would say that mobile games in general aren't ever classified as AAA. You in the mobile space, you don't have the level of graphics and sound effects and interactivity that you need to have a AAA class game. Now, there are certainly uber popular mobile games, and maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit here on the cast. But the biggest thing I know, and I also haven't been able to follow the project so long. It's only been announced, I think, 4 days ago at the time of this recording. But I think the concept is each of this initial Genesis version of the waifus gives you the ability to it's not like a breeding mechanic, but it's like a factory type of mechanic. So you're able to create additional resources for use within the game. Now I don't know. I think it's a combat type of a game. I don't know if it's classified as a MOBA or like a combat RPG or something. But overall, the piece that I thought was worth diving into is this free to own model. And so, Will, coming back to your question, I actually echo a lot of TSG's thoughts. The big concern I have is on sustainability. So I think it's almost going to be a requirement for a free to play type of mechanic to exist in Web3 games, because at least in 2022 and for the next 3 or 4 years, so many gamers are concerned about the sustainability of games that they also don't believe that Web3 games are going to be engaging and have good gameplay loops. So they're by default not going to be willing to pay much money at all, and especially not a few $100s to mint something super expensive out. So I think you need to have that easy onboarding process for new players. And so, a free entry point into the game is absolutely the way to go. I would say that probably 75 or 80% of the projects that I'm following have that type of an option. So you can start playing the game with all of the, free to own or free to play NFTs or, in-game assets that you need to actually get started. So I don't see that as anything revolutionary. That's pretty normal from what we're observing in the space. The question is, long term, how does that revenue appear? And TSG, I think you nailed the main concerns that I have too. If you give free NFTs to people to begin playing, they're going to be super happy because they can then sell them on the secondary market. And secondary sales are a great way to generate revenue. The question, though, is it free to own for only the first people that start playing? Because then you don't have any sustainability in that model, because if everyone else has to pay money to be able to play the game, they don't really care if they're paying a player on the secondary market or the gaming company. They're still paying money. So if you've got to pay several ETH, and in some cases, these Genesis versions were selling for, I think, like a dozen ETH. So that's the price of a decent used car in most parts of the world.
That's a deposit on a house.
Yeah. I mean, so that's hardly a free to anything model.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to see how this plays out over time, because what we know is anything that is given away free, and if you can just spawn and start up a new game version, the value of those tokens or assets is effectively zero because you have an infinite supply. And I don't think there's a problem with that. But if your monetization is based on selling something that has an infinite supply, you're not going to have any revenue because the value of that long term is going to be zero. In fact, short term, it's going to be zero as well. So at some point, in order to profit from producing the game, to be able to pay the team's salaries, there's nothing wrong with that. You've got to have an economic model that makes sense. And so players are going to pay somewhere. And that's the piece that I still want to see how the sustainability evolves. I haven't seen a white paper or anything yet. Maybe it's out and I just haven't been made aware of where it's at. But looking forward to following up on that, because I do think it continues to be bullish for the space when you see especially good developers from Web 2 gaming projects that are coming in and they've got financial backing and support from VCs and angel investors to get into the space. I do like seeing Web 2 gaming projects that are then figuring out interesting ways to apply Web 3. So even if it's not a sustainable model, the fact that they're trying some new things is for me good, and I want to see companies iterate on these.
Yeah. Anyway, and I just realized because it kind of went over my head, but you said so it's a mobile game that got $200 million in funding.
Yes, correct.
That's insane. That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot, right? That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. I don't remember exactly the valuation. I think I might be wrong. I think someone said it was like 1.3 or 1.6 billion valuation on the company. Wow. So I mean, certainly it's a strong fundraising number. They did say that they have been building for about a year now. So it launched. I mean, I think it was August or September of last year that their studio started, and they've just gone public now.
Yeah. So like I said, I honestly think the idea of the free to own, I think it's definitely the way forward. Whether this is it's like the whole play and thing. Again, I'm not a fan of that, but like the whole idea, it's a good idea, free to own, and I think that's the way we're going to move forward. Whether this is the project to actually accomplish that at scale or not, we'll have to kind of wait and see. But there's no doubt, and like you kind of talk about how they're going to make revenue. There could be other things. Again, I go back. It's really hard to go back to Illuvium now, considering I work there. But like discussing Illuvium, I think it's really good how they have for example, the land where a revenue source is via skins, but skins come from players, right? I think like if they do something with that, where the waifus can create some kind of cosmetic, or they create a system where that can create cosmetics that actually incentivizes sales on the secondary market that are maybe more limited and scarce, and then there's a high demand for that. Because like you said, if it's just unlimited, and because I talked to Vulcan and he's big on the whole mobile gaming space, and it's like a lot of these games that have unlimited supply. Again, anyone that knows basic econs 101 is like unlimited supply is just going to ruin the demand. Like it's just going to spoil the demand. So at some point, like unlimited supply is fine for a capped period. That makes sense. If it's just unlimited supply for the sake of unlimited supply, you're legitimately setting yourself up for failure. And you need to go back and read an econs 101 book, because that's just pretty simple shit.
I think they're gonna nail it. I mean, I think surely they're going to nail it. Because I'm just so impressed by these mobile games. Every time, like they know the revenue numbers like down to a T, like what they should price everything, when they should give someone like a special bonus package, when they should give you a discount on this and that. Like they know everything down to a T on these dang mobile games. So obviously it's new for them going into the NFT game and Web3, but I think they're gonna figure it out very, very quickly. And I think we just gotta wait and see at this point, right? Because we don't know
Yeah.
enough to like speculate like too deeply into. I think we just gotta wait and see. And yeah, maybe if the white paper isn't out any, we wait and see until that comes and see how many Genesis NFTs they release and what they do with the NFTs when the game launches and everything. So I think we just gotta wait and see, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, I think so. And so let's maybe pivot to the point that you were raising about mobile games, because mobile is definitely an interesting market here for Web3. One of the projects that I had a chance to do an interview with the founder, with Ryan Horgan at Artiverse, is building on mobile. There's a number of other projects that I'm following that are that are building on mobile too. And we do know that a majority of revenue for the gaming industry comes from mobile now. These, whether it's fast casual games or whether it's more involved community-based games where you've got guilds or clans or whatever that are playing in the mobile space. So I'm curious how you all see this evolving, because we've got mobile games and console games and PC games, and we've got likely virtual reality and augmented reality games that are going to continue to expand. Where do you all see the future of gaming in general across these different types of platforms? Do we see distinctions continuing to be made for forever? Are we going to see more cross-platform games in the Web3 space? So maybe Will, I'll throw it over to you to start off for this one.
Yeah, man, that's an exciting question. I think we got to see some like good changes for console gaming in order for it to continue. Like, because when I grew up, console gaming was like, that was it. Like you played on console. I never played on PC growing up until like teenage years, I suppose. But now, I don't know, console gaming is kind of like, I thought VR was going to be the next thing. Now I think Web3 is going to be the next thing. I just think console gaming is, I don't know, slowly dying in a sense, but I hope I'm wrong on that, because I am a console gamer at heart. But like in the future, I believe mobile gaming, once again, like mobile gaming, I think will bring the masses to Web3. I think the mobile games that come out and do it well, that's why I'm so excited about Gabe from Game of War coming on and doing this with the backing that they have. I see that being the big one. Like that's when Web3 will bring in the masses, whether or not they realize it's Web3 or not. Because I think the games that manage to do it like very subtly, like you almost don't notice that it's Web3 because it's so casual. It's so like, oh, it's just like a Web2 game. Oh, I own some Sol now. I own some ETH now. I didn't know about that. Or, it's just a part of the game instead of the useless coins that you earn in the game. Like any other regular game. But I'd love to keep this conversation going. TC, what do you think?
I'm curious. So, Will, you said you're a console gamer at heart, right? Annie, what about you, man?
Bro.
What's your favorite? You got a PS? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I'm mixed. I would say that I grew up on PC games primarily. I started. I'm dating myself a little bit. I started on console because that's really all that was out when I was a kid. But I quickly moved over to PC and Mac games as I was growing up, and I was not so keen on the concept of mobile when we started to see Farmville and some of these other games that were becoming popular back a decade or so ago. But over that time period, just because my personal situation changed, having kids and being able to not step away for multiple hours at a time as much, made it more important for me to have the ability to game mobily. And so that's really, unless I am 100% committed to playing a game that's PC and I know I'm going to be able to allocate the time for it, I now tend to default to look for something on mobile if I'm looking for something to get involved in. And for me personally, it's been Clash of Clans and Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes for the last almost decade or so now, where I played each of those for years and years and years. Clash of Clans with family and friends for years, and the same for SWGOH. And so I've been more recently mobile. I do love PC games still. So whether it was Path of Exile or Elden Ring, or you take your pick from some games that have been popular over the last 10 years. I still try and get to 1 or 2 of those a year. I just don't quite have the capacity that I would like to be able to invest in those. So for me, it's more of a time commitment than anything else that determines what platform do I want to be gaming on. And I think that's probably true for a lot of adults, especially that have kids. But but I don't know. TSG, what about you? I know you don't have kids, but you are married, and so you've got additional time commitment.
That's somewhat like a kid, right? No,
Hopefully she's not watching the clip here.
No, never. No, so I personally, and I started off as a console gamer, and majority of the time I still am. This is the first, like I say, PC. I actually just have a gaming laptop. But this is like the first time I've had a PC that's like powerful enough to run games at like the ultra settings. I've never had that before. So I'm starting to transition into PC just because I work so much on PC anyway. And I don't really because for me to play console, I either have to set it up here or go onto the TV. And if I'm playing console, I'd rather sit on like a massive TV than we're in my office anyway. So primarily PC now. But honestly, I don't have time to play games. I've never actually touched mobile games. The only games that I played on mobile, honestly, are like the horrible games that get like showed on ads to you on Instagram, where you'll play it for like a couple of rounds and then like you'll download it, play it for a day when you're taking a shit, and then delete it.
Really?
The only games I've ever played on mobile. And I understand and I've played Risk on mobile. That's another one, but
that's a good one. That's a really good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. I think for me, actually, and the thing that I think is interesting, because mobile also, I guess, constitutes tablets, right? So would you guys agree to that? Like, would a tablet be considered mobile gaming?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So I think like for me, I just wouldn't like playing games on like a small phone. So the fact that I've just recently got an iPad, like a decent tablet now, it's like, I'd be more open to it, right? But I think the whole gaming mobile thing is amazing. Obviously, I mentioned it before, like you said, Will, females, obviously way more females enjoy playing mobile games more than anything. I think just because it's more accessible. Like, again, I think this is a general statement, but I think it is very accurate. Just based on, even if you look at crypto, like we have the term crypto bros. I don't know if we have like a crypto girls. Like, it's not a common thing. So I think like in technology, the demographic has always been largely males. So consoles and PCs, there have just been less females really on like the ratio of males to females in the space is just being like obviously one-sided. Whereas mobiles, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're a boy, a man, a woman, or a child, you have a mobile. So it's like, it kind of evened out the playing field for everyone to get involved. I think that's really cool. As for the future, I think you're right, Will, potentially, that mobile is going to be crucial for onboarding players into Web3. Mm-hmm. But the future that I actually see, just that the way that console started, and then it was actually PC that started, right, with Pong and stuff. Like, before we had consoles, it was PC gaming.
Right.
So we had PC gaming, and then we moved on to console gaming, and then we moved on to mobile gaming. And the next thing, I think a lot of us were tripped up in for the past like 5 to 10 years. Everyone was like, yo, VR is the thing. The thing that I think is actually going to be really crazy for Web3 is going to be AR. The way that we saw, and something that I want to mention, like a stat about mobile gaming, and this is so fascinating. And like the way I'm kind of presenting it to you guys are pretty much going to know the answer already. But if I put the question to you guys, who do you think has more daily players? Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is obviously the highest grossing franchise in the entire world, or Teamfight Tactics? What do you think has more players per day? I presented it in a way that you guys should know the answer.
You've given the answer before, haven't you?
Have I?
I think so.
Oh, have I done that? All right, cool. Yeah, sorry, man, because I've just been researching it. But it's Teamfight Tactics, right? And it's like, 8 million players compared to, and I did additional research on this, where I was looking on Twitch. Did I say that as well? I might have said that already. But like on Twitch, like if you're looking at Teamfight Tactics, active viewers on Twitch for Teamfight Tactics is like 30,000 active viewers. And Teamfight Tactics is a mobile game. But if you look on Pokemon Sword and Shield, you would think it'd be way more because of it being Pokemon. But there's only 2,000 active viewers. So that's like 15 times more because it's a mobile game.
That is
so I think that's
crazy,
an insane number. It blew my mind. But yeah, I didn't know I presented that already. Sorry, guys.
And it's Pokemon as well. So like the IP, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Big IP in gaming. But TSG, I think you're onto something important here, which is that the capacity for engagement with mobile games is actually larger than you might consider, and it's especially interesting because I remember when myself and other gamers, when we saw mobile coming out, a lot of the discussion that I heard was it's not real gaming, right? It's whatever that means. But we actually see that where the engagement levels are really high with streamers, and PvP content does really well in the influencer and creator space. And I think that also serves to drive this sort of a positive feedback loop where when you've got content creators and influencers, you've got strong communities that are forming around these games, whatever the platform is, it drives a lot more interest to them because that leads to more spread of information. And when you have games that aren't really being featured and you don't have people watching them, they're less sticky as well, where people are much more likely to leave the ecosystem and go play something else or take a break. So let's talk about AR and VR, because I think this is the biggest misconception or maybe idea that I hear around the metaverse is the metaverse must be something that's a VR world, or at least at a minimum like an AR world, where you can go in and just be walking around and you can see everything around you. We've talked on here about the concept of sort of the lobby to the metaverse, maybe just being a place that you're able to walk through and engage with different brands and IP and gaming structures. How do you all see AR and VR technology enabling or being essential, or not really mattering, just being another version of gaming in this space?
I'll jump in here because that was the point that I was gonna like talk about the AR thing. I think AR is actually the future of gaming. We kind of saw that with Pokemon Go, that took everyone by storm, and I think it's gonna be more prevalent once we have augmented reality glasses, right? Again, I mentioned it before. Zucks thinks maybe 5 years out we're gonna see a product like that. I think once we have that, that's gonna like change everything. But I think that's just another like level of gaming. As for like the metaverse, like everyone has to, it just depends on the definition of metaverse, right? Everyone's like, some people have the Ready Player One definition where it's like, oh, like you say, everything's VR and we're in this crazy world. For me, again, I think metaverse is just, okay, this might sound super lame. I think we're somewhat in the metaverse already. Like, instead of saying like Web 3, like I think we're in a Web 2.5 space. I'm almost certain, I've said this already. I think we're in a Web 2.5 space. Again, like none of us knows where we live. But we're friends online. We see each other through a screen. We have intellectual conversations. We don't care we'll say like, oh, how old are you? But really, that's not the shit that's important to us. It's, what are the books you've read? What are the ideas you have? Like, these are the conversations that we're having now. And so to me, that's already like we're entering the metaverse. Like it is what it is. Right. As for metaverse in gaming, for me, I keep going back to this, but I think interoperability of IP, in a singular IP, that's pretty much it for me. It's once we can actually transfer one thing to another, like from again one game to another in the same IP. For me, that's we're in a gaming metaverse now. It's like it's not just a singular thing. So whether that's VR, AR, Web 2, like iPad, mobile, I don't care, man. That's what it is for me. Once we can do that, because we've never, ever seen that before. As I might be wrong, maybe there is a thing, but we don't own it. So once we own it, I'll add that caveat. Once we can actually maybe even just digital ownership. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd say digital ownership. I'm going to like set a stone for myself, like set a line. Digital ownership plus transferability, like interoperability, is where I say we've reached a gaming metaverse. Otherwise, a general metaverse, honestly, I think we're already starting to be there. my take. Yeah, I don't know. Will, agree, disagree? What do you?
Disagree and agree. First
Okay,
off,
let's
I'll
go.
say this: the whole AR thing. You said like it blew up with Pokemon Go. Yes, it was integrated into Pokemon Go. I never freaking used that thing though. I think it's so annoying. I always think it's just annoying to use the AR thing. Yeah, it looks cool, and I'm a guy like I'd love to use the future because it's like it's a cool thing. Like, yeah, it might be the future, but I don't know. I just found it so annoying. I would love to enjoy it, but I just don't. It's just so much more annoying than having the Pokemon background or whatever. So AR, yeah, it's not there yet, fam. I don't think it's there yet. But yeah, maybe with augmented glasses, like you say, definitely open for that. And to the whole metaverse thing that you mentioned, I agree with you. In a sense, we're already there, and I don't think we need VR AR to like be in the whole metaverse thing. But when we talked about the whole lobby, like we gather in one game lobby, and then you can go off and you can play this game, and I go in off and play that game, and we have the NFTs. Maybe I can incorporate them and like hang them up on my wall in my house or whatever. Like, it doesn't need to be VR AR. Yes, like bring a world together kind of thing, whether it be cross IPs or in the same IP, like you mentioned, TSG. I think like that's what I want. It doesn't like I can be in front of my screen. I don't need glasses. I don't need a whole rocket suit or whatever. Like, I'm fine with just having my screen, keyboard, and mouse, or my controller. That's those are my thoughts. AR, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I think we'll get to the lobby thing at some point, like that experience, that level of the metaverse. But like, again, think about like let's strip away all the fanciness, right? And let's just discuss the lobby. Like, oh, we can all hang out and meet up and then go play our separate games. Fam, that's what a Discord chat is. Like, we can all just get together, get on a video call in Discord, and that's a lobby, is it not? And then we can all bounce and go play our own games. Is that
but I don't have my character there. I can't go like, bro, let's meet up in the lobby. Let me show you this new sword I just got or whatever.
But that's what I mean. Like, take away all the fanciness, like at the core of it. Like, oh, we can hang out to the same place, but like we're in a digital space. Like, the core of it is what we're doing now already. It's just kind of dressing it up and fancying it up. Again, like
that might be what.
And again, I want what you're saying. I want that lobby. But that I just don't think. That's why I say like we're already in a metaverse. Like, it's not like
I get
a
that.
thing. And actually, I actually, as you were saying that thing about AR, I actually want to say I want to add something. You're right. I don't think we're there yet. And I said AR, Pokemon Go kind of blew up AR gaming. It blew up AR gaming because obviously filters like Instagram and Snapchat filters. That's what blew up AR. Because again, to this day, I'm sure a lot of people don't even realize that it's AR. They just think, oh, it's a snap. Oh, I have a rainbow coming out of my mouth. They don't understand the technology is AR, or they don't say that. But actually, that was like probably the first like consumer, mass consumer consumption of AR was, I think, filters. Yeah. Annie, sorry, man. Your thoughts on the whole metaverse thing.
Yeah, I think the concept of Discord server essentially being the lobby to the metaverse today is interesting, and I would agree. I think that's probably a version 0 of metaverse, and we talk about Web 2, but Web 2 in general allowed us to really engage with each other. And Web 1 was really static images and web pages and so forth. That community creation and that personal connection that you're able to establish in Web 2, I think was ground zero for it. The question that I'm really interested in is, what's the overall consumer demand for more engaging mechanics like that? So TSG, let's push on that concept. So if we're in a Discord chat and let's say that there's 10 or 15 of us and we're talking about a particular game, is it more or less meaningful if we just see everyone's name listed and whoever's talking, that their name lights up when they're chatting in Discord? Or if you've got a visual where you get your own avatar, your own not just profile picture, but like a 3D rendering of it. And I'll share one of the it was a YouTube interview I saw this past week. I don't even remember who it was, but they actually had the speaker, and then right beside him, they had a fully integrated AR version of a profile picture avatar for the project. And so it wasn't fluff. It was another project. I'll try and see if we can find it and maybe add that into the content. But essentially, you have the ability to be talking with and engaging with any virtual image that you want of another person. But when it's able to interact with you and not just be a still picture, I think there's something more interesting there. And the question is, we as humans love to dress up, whether it's our clothes or whether it's costumes and outfits. And if you could immediately hit a button and become whatever sort of avatar you wanted, and that was how you were engaging with other people, I think there's something interesting there. I don't know what the level of demand is and how much people are willing to pay for that. It may just be sort of an improvement that shows up over the next number of years, where it just becomes the de facto way of engaging with other people. Is you want to have a visual. It doesn't have to be our faces, but you want to have a visual that you associate with an individual.
Yeah, like a brand, essentially. Like you want to have like a Coca-Cola where you can recognize, oh, this is this person. I get that. And I agree. I think it's going to happen. I think the reason I think it's going to take a bit longer for us to get there. And again, all of these things I want, like don't get it twisted. Like I want these things because this is what I think the future is going to be. But again, what I just said, these are things that I want. Like they're not things that we need. And so because of that, it's like because of the want factor, like I think we're working a bit slower towards it. Whereas if it was a need factor, it would be top priority. So I think like for gaming, I think ownership, in regards to the metaverse as a whole, I think ownership is the thing that we actually like. I'm saying this lightly, but it's something that we need more than we want. Just because we feel like we've been taken advantage of for a long time. Like me seeing an avatar of someone compared to me owning my assets in game, one is definitely more of a need compared to a want, right? And so that's where I see all the focus going. But eventually, once all of those issues get solved, one of those problems gets solved, we'll start moving down these list of wants. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, so let me actually argue with you on this a little bit.
Let's go.
I actually kind of see this differently. So one of the big problems, and I don't think anyone listening to this cast is going to disagree, one of the big problems with Web 2, social media and communication servers and so on, there's a dehumanizing element to it. And when you're able to engage with someone and all you see is a screen name and that handle is what you envision someone being, that creates, I think, a perverse incentive for people to not engage in ways that they would if they knew there was another human on the other end of the line. And we intellectually know that, but when we don't see somebody, there's no connection that's being built. And so I think different parts of our brain are engaging when we see there's a person than when we see text. And that's true even with if there's a profile picture beside the person's name and you're talking with them. I think that dehumanizing element is frankly terrible. And that's led to a lot of the problems that we see online. I would actually submit that one thing that we do need is to have ways of humanizing people more. And I say humanizing, it may sound strange, but if I see you, TSG, as an avatar of Squirtle behind you, and Will, you've got, you're a Darth Vader or whatever is your character.
We'd be running.
But in my mind, it doesn't even really matter that much that if the character's humanoid, if it's a creature, if it's some an object or whatever. But like I think seeing some physical representation in the virtual world of what another person is actually makes you less likely to engage in that way. Because as toxic as chat is, if you go and look on Reddit or Twitter or take your pick, Discord servers, whatever, super toxic. But if you actually look in the games, so if I go look in World of Warcraft, like, yes, there are chats that are toxic, but it's never when people have their avatars together, right? I mean, you don't see that. What you see is faceless, just names out there shouting insults at each other and everything. Like I actually think if we could have a stronger sense of connection to each other, that would improve a lot of the communication that we see virtually. And so I would actually argue that's one of the things I think that we really do need, maybe more than want. And we may not recognize that, but it would really improve discourse, among gamers and just everyone in the virtual world.
Yeah, I'm smiling because I'm actually going to push back as well now. So I'm going to push back a little bit and say we're kind of saying, with the tech space, right? But obviously, again, we've got cameras now. Like I, for one, personally, and this is definitely just like a personal thing, but if I'm ever calling someone, like you guys both know this, more than likely I'm clicking video call more than just a standard call, just for that humanizing factor. I want to see your face. I want to understand your feelings, your response. Yeah. So we already have that. And in Discord, it's even if you're in one of those voice, you can put your camera on. So it's that's what I mean. It's for those people that don't want to do that, I get it. People that don't want to dox themselves, I understand that. And an avatar might be better for you to be involved and get that humanizing factor without doxing yourself. That I understand that completely. But for most of us that don't care about that, and we're happy to kind of put our faces out there, I still think we get that humanization. And another thing as well is what you're saying is true. It kind of gives us the thing is, it's yes, it humanizes us, but does it do it in a perverse way? Because like you say, the idea, my initial reaction, think about that. My initial reaction, if I was Squirtle and Will was Darth Vader, I made a joke, I would run. So does it kind of distort our perception of what a person is? If someone's a cute person, does it distort? Can we use that to manipulate people's perception? Is that does that humanize us in the way that we actually think it's going to humanize us? And I don't think any of us here really have the answer because we haven't experienced that. But these are the questions that I'm thinking about when you say that. And again, which is why, again, I want these things. But again, that's why I go back to the idea of I think it's a want more than a need, because the function of humanizing, we have cameras already. We can do that now. But I think it's one of these things where, I'm not sure, man. If someone rocks up as a Pikachu, yo, what is that? How do we react to that? Really? I don't know. I personally don't know the answer to that. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on that. But otherwise, I think it might just in this situation. It's not I completely disagree with you, but I think we do obviously have two different different takes on this one.
Will, what do you think? What's your take on avatars in the metaverse?
Yeah, crazy topic. I did not expect this today. I think I'm with you, Annie, in the fact that it does. A lot of the cyberbullying and a lot of the shit talking that you see online is because people you don't. First of all, it's easier to do it behind a keyboard, right? That whole thing. But also, it's well, I don't care about I will crypto 59. It's people don't care about if they just see a name, they're I don't care about this guy. It's not even a person to them. It's just a username, almost. So definitely makes it easier to go and hate on someone, and it's easier to hate than to spread love online. That's just a fact. That's why there's so much shit talking online. I'm doxxed, and I come from online marketing where everything was online, but since it's professional, everybody was doxxed. It would be weird if you would not be able to see your face or know your name. That would be super weird, and I would not do business with you. So for me, it's I think it's a shame that not everybody is doxxed. Being from the gamer community, though, I kind of understand it, but I do still want everybody. I want people to share their faces. They're all beautiful. I don't know. I just want to see people, and I think it does humanize us all, and it makes it more friendly. It makes it better. I don't have too much to say on the whole thing, but I do think it brings a lot of shade that you it's just a username. I don't care about the person, and I think people I want people to be doxxed.
Yeah, and I think I'll add this. Sorry, just one thing, Annie, and I'll throw it your way. But legitimately, what Will is saying about it's so easy to be a keyboard warrior when you can't see someone. I think that's going to be so much worse if we have not worse, but we're going to see a much more amplified version of that with the avatar thing. It's again, I hate it, and I'm out here trying to spread as much positivity as I can, and I do believe that it's easier to hate. Which is why I think those that have love and have positivity and have confidence need to be loud as fuck. We need to really scream it because we need to be out there. But it's like, just imagine, man, like we know the world objectively, the majority of the world is incredibly insecure. Like imagine being like a skinny guy at home who lives at like in their mom's house, but the avatar is a big dude. Do you think that actually, like, man, that it's such a weird thing. It shifts what you think is real and the way you treat people. It's like you have this false sense of security now because you look something that you're not, and you're gonna act some way that you wouldn't in real life. And I think we're just gonna see, like, there's no way, like, if the whole world was confident and secure, perfect, right? Like people would treat each other with respect. We would kind of know that, but it's like hurt people, and I don't think like having an avatar face is gonna take that away. I think that's just gonna like, because right now it's like you can kind of put a picture up, and people can kind of like, as much as like, oh, you're a keyboard warrior behind a name and a picture. It's like, oh yeah, it's just a picture, whatever. But if you can design an avatar and like design a brand to represent you in a way that you're not even, damn, I think it's gonna get worse. In my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. In this first version of the metaverse, as we call it, in this lobby that we've discussed, I agree with you that not having persistency of a person's identity is a drawback. Where I see things evolving, though, and this is not short term, this is 10 years from now, 15 years from now, this concept of like soulbound tokens and a true virtual identity that actually goes with you, where maybe it's a sort of a zero knowledge identity concept where I don't know that, Will, you are William, but I know that you're like a person. And so your virtual identity is secured and is also non-fungible. So you can't just instantly vanish and become a new person online.
Yeah, right.
Your identity should, in my mind, go with you, because if you knew that all of your actions that you undertook in other games or in chat rooms and discords and whatever, if that was going to be part of the public ledger that anyone could see, like this is how you behave and this is the way you treat people and these are your views, that has the persistency that as humans we were used to fully up until some 30 or 40 years ago. Up until that time period, the things that you wrote or the interactions that you had with people in person were the only ways that they actually got to interact with you. And so you knew who you were dealing with 100% of the time. Losing that continuity of a person's identity, I think, has been very much a drawback for us as a species. And so I think having an avatar is nice because you have the ability to effectively create the persona that you want to be, as long as there's some persistency to it. And just because you switch your avatar, I still can see, oh, TSG, he was a Squirtle last week, but like, this week, he's a World of Warcraft Tauren. Like, okay, that's fine. Like he's still the same person, and I can see and know his identity, whether or not his avatar changed. But I think in that case, then the avatar still has that sense of humanizing to a large extent the person. So I agree. Maybe we agree more than
I agree that
we thought at first, TSG, that I think persistency matters a lot here, but I also think having a visual representation that corresponds to that a person's identity is a benefit in communication and community building.
No, I can agree with that. I think the whole holding someone accountable, I think having that flexibility and customizability, I don't know if that's the word, customization, whatever, is good as long as we have that accountability. I don't have the solution for that, but I do know that is the solution. How we get to that, I don't have the answer to, but if there is a way to hold them accountable, hold people accountable, and that's why I do like doxing myself, and that's why I like being out here on the internet. It's like being transparent on the internet. It's like, man, you have to be held accountable. You're doing that to yourself. And I'm looking forward to, and that's what I think the blockchain is going to do for everyone. So when that does happen, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think something like even a lens protocol is not exactly building towards that specifically, but they're attempting to create the first real, I would say, blockchain-based version of media and influencer content, right? So in this case, then TSG, all of your content, it's agnostic which platform it's on. So it doesn't matter if it's TikTok or YouTube or Twitter, wherever, you've got that single version of your virtual identity that's maintainable. I think something like that, and again, I use the term soulbound tokens, which is something that I think Vitalik coined the phrase.
Yes.
Coming from World of Warcraft as a concept, that you have a token that is locked to your account, to your wallet, basically, that denotes this is this is TSG, or this is Annie. And so as a result of that, the blockchain gives us the tool set to be able to build that, where you can know and have this sort of public record of who you are and what you're trying to create virtually. So I think it's going to take a while for that to fully evolve, but I do already see some early seeds of that concept starting to appear. It's going to be a matter of like what the use cases are, and people are going to have to be willing to volunteer for it. There are certainly drawbacks. So from a time standpoint, maybe we don't get into all of those. There are ways that can be used negatively too. But I think the positives outweigh those, as long as we have builders that understand the space and are willing to really think deeply about how we connect as people and what are ways that it's going to become more positive in the future.
Yep. Agreed.
So interesting. Yes, I'm just sitting back here and like listening to you guys talking and sharing your brilliant minds. That went like deeper than I thought today. Especially with the whole avatar and like insecurities, like you say, TSG. That is definitely like a part of it, and we can go deep and deep and deep on that topic. I love talking about mobile gaming today. I think we really went deep into mobile gaming today, which I think we haven't really done in past episodes as much. So talking about mobile gaming, and I'll ask you guys too, but my highlight of today was Annie pronouncing the name of what was the name of the new game, Annie?
Digidaigaku.
Digidaigaku, yeah.
Digidaigaku.
Yeah.
There you go.
What was your guys' highlight?
Man, honestly, it was the discussion about the avatars, because obviously, like, again, it's what I want, and that's the thing. I like playing like a kind of devil's advocate to myself as well, because we kind of need to be objective. It's like, take away what I actually want. What are the downsides of it? What are the benefits of it? So I loved having that conversation, because it was like, man, again, Annie, I agree with the stuff that you're saying, and I want these things to happen, but I'm also trying to just be objective about the downsides of it, and not being overly, because I think in crypto, everyone's like, because we're so heavily invested, we're always like a large amount of people in the crypto space, because we're overly invested, we're overly bullish. We're like, everything is good in crypto. It's like, man, relax. There are downsides to it, and the opportunities, how do we solve them? So I think having conversations like that, I greatly enjoy. And again, both of you guys have like great brains, great minds, and being able to have these conversations every week is sick. Your highlight, Annie, do you have one or two or three?
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. The discussion on the different platforms for gaming is really interesting to me, and that's one of the benefits that I think having both of you and myself, we've all got different backgrounds with different platforms that we grew up with and that we're fans of, and so I think that lends itself well to having diverse viewpoints on even just the concept of gaming. I do also think the discussion about sort of virtual identities is a good one. I'd like to come back to that in one of our future episodes as well, because I think, we talk about interoperability of assets in games, but we don't talk about interoperability of the player in games. And this may be an area that we can dive back in. Some of the projects that I know we follow and have talked about, they're really playing off of this concept more broadly. And so I can't wait to see what all of the builders and the creators continue to come up with, and me just being able to have a front row seat and interact with a lot of them, talk about the real challenges that they're having, is super exciting. That's just something that you can't get anywhere else. The speed of innovation and pace of change in Web3, especially in the gaming sector right now, is just massive. And Will, you talked about it earlier, this just being sick for a week. You come back and it feels like you missed a month or 6 months of the year by the time you return. So just always enjoy it with you guys, and looking forward to more. Just as a
100%.
note, I will over the next couple weeks be in and out, and so for those that are joining, we may have some special programming planned in the coming weeks here, as I may or may not be able to join in our next couple of episodes. So once I'm back from my travel, though, look forward to joining up with you guys again.
Awesome. So you're pretty much going to miss out a whole bunch of the 2 weeks.
It's gonna
I'd love
be
to catch up on.
I told you the month of September was already going to be wild, and
Yeah.
trying to manage this whole thing while traveling is going to be absolutely nuts. But I'm looking forward to it.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I don't envy you being away from Web3 for that long. Man, good conversation. And I keep talking about it, but I have to mention it again. If you guys, and I understand if you don't have time for the whole episode in one go, like, go ahead and subscribe and watch the Gaming on the Block Clips channel. We've linked it down below in the description. And next week, we always release on Tuesdays. So next week, we will be coming out with episode 7. And that will be on your channel, right, TSG? This is on Annie's channel.
Wow.
So if you're not
back on mine already. Feels like
back on yours already. So make sure you subscribe to Annie's channel as to make sure you see all of his content and the future of the Gaming on the Block episodes coming out on his channel. With that said, please let us know what other topics you'd like for us to talk about in the future. And that's about it. Heck of an episode. I can't wait to get it back to mobile gaming in future episodes, and as well the whole avatar and everything that we talked about in the end there. Make a whole episode about that. Thank you guys so much for sharing your brilliant minds with me and everybody else. Give a last goodbye.
Man, appreciate you guys. Honestly, I'll just say that. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you guys next time for sure. Annie, last words?
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for all of our audience for joining us. We love getting the comments and the feedback from you. That's really the reason that we do this, is to be able to put out some good content for you. So let us know what else you want to hear about, and look forward to talking later. Be well, y'all.
You guys on the spot there. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.
Peace.